Hi, Facebook.
Good afternoon, good early evening to everyone out there. We are so glad you decided to join us on 90.7 FM. We have a wonderful show lined up for you this week. You're listening to Hearts and Heels, and I'm one of your hosts, Mia.
Hello, and I'm Arnisha. Thank you for joining us again this Thursday evening. Give us a call if you want to chime in on the conversation at 334-269-6785, or you can call toll-free 800-631-2893. And don't forget to tune in to Facebook Live at Shay, is it under you? Okay, Shay Melton Robinson, if you want to watch us live on Facebook.
We have a great show for you guys this week. We're so glad that you decided to join us. We are Hearts and Heels, and I am one of your hosts, Mia.
And I am Shay.
I'm Arnisha. Don't forget to give us a call at 269-6785, or you can call us toll-free at 800-631-2893. And you can also watch us live on Facebook under Shay Melton Robinson. If you want to watch us behind the scenes here at the station.
Yes, we're so excited about today's show. It's going to be a great show. There's been a lot that's happened, but we do want to remind you, last week we had the two students on, and they are headed to Alvin Ailey, which is in New York. So they do need your support. Make sure you support their GoFundMe, which is your GoFundMe for both of their names. It is on our Facebook page, so make sure you check it out on Hearts and Heels. And go support them. We have had some listeners to support them, but we need some more. So make sure you go support them, and make sure you give some money. Give some money. We're so excited because it's really hard for for them to get the students there, because it's a lot of money. I think they said it cost over $10,000 for both of them to go. So we're excited that we were able to have them on and share with the listeners, so you can know that there are some good students, some good kids that are focusing on their goals and wanting more and desiring more and doing more to get there. So
and any little bit will help. If you have $1, $5, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Just give whatever you can. Every penny counts.
Yes, every single penny counts. Now, this past week, a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff. So, let's start with this whole gorilla.
No,
The whole gorilla.
You know,
The
you
gorilla's
can't start
name
with
is
the gorilla
Harambe.
because all these memes that have been on the social media waves about the gorilla are just, you feel sad, then you're thinking, oh my goodness.
Right.
Have y'all seen the meme that had like Prince and Michael Jackson, and then it had the gorilla? Have y'all seen that one?
I haven't seen
No.
that one. I did see one where it was just him. It was a Harambe celebration or something.
Yeah,
And they had-
Were you
Yeah.
sad, really?
No, I wasn't sad. Why don't you tell our listeners what exactly happened, just in case they didn't know?
I'm pretty sure they do, but
Some people could be under a rock.
They could be under a rock, but the other day, over the holiday weekend, a child, 4 years old, fell into a zoo exhibit, and it was the gorilla exhibit at a zoo in I forgot what
Cincinnati?
state.
Was it Cincinnati?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Which is not a
And
state, by the way.
at the
It's a
Cincinnati
city.
state, in the state of Cincinnati. I'm just kidding. Okay. At the Cincinnati Zoo, and the gorilla ended up being shot by the zoo personnel there because the child was in danger. There's been a lot of backlash because of that. The child is okay, thank goodness. Thank God that he is doing well. His mother and father have been posting updates about his, his condition and things like that. So he's at home resting. He's fine. But unfortunately, because of the accident, the gorilla did have to be shot and killed because it was a matter of his life or the child's life.
Well, that's true, and and no fault of the gorilla. Nobody said that the gorilla
Right.
was hostile. However, the gorilla normally the keepers at the zoo will feed him or throw him things. That way, he probably thought that the baby was a toy, something to play with, because he did cautiously rub the baby, then he drug the baby around, And so I think that people are going to be angry about it either way you go, because the report states that the child not only had to go through a rebar fence, but then it had to go over a landing in order to fall down. So where were the parents? I can't say that because there have been times where I have lost my child in Ross,
Right, and it happens. We as parents, when this happened, I was thinking about recently when we went to the zoo a couple of months ago, and a lot of people are there, and it is a reasonable expectation when you are standing in front of an exhibit that if your child is next to you, they're next to you. Even if you turn your head for a minute or if you have to tend to other children, it's a reasonable expectation to not have to worry about your child getting into the exhibit. You
have that sense of, oh my goodness, I will not do that.
You don't think that there is a way into these exhibits. There shouldn't be a way in, I don't think. So honestly, my opinion is the zoo is kind of at fault because there shouldn't have been a way, period, at all, for that child to get in that exhibit at all, period.
Yeah, I just think that it's really crazy for every single person in the world that is blaming the parents.
Yes.
I think parents have enough issues, and we have enough things that we have to deal with and pray over and look after our kids. For someone to just blame the parents and say,
who says, I'm going to wake up, take my child to the zoo, and I hope that he is mauled by a gorilla.
Right.
Oh, I hope he climbs in.
Yeah.
I think that's so wrong, and it really frustrated me the whole week. Every time I kept seeing all these different people, and it just brings me to the place of judgment. Like, we're such a judgmental society. We fail to realize that she was any parent, because I've lost, my son has run out the driveway into the street, and he's 3.
Exactly.
So it happens. You can
too.
Well, yeah, he'll be 3 now. Yeah, you're right.
But you can because that's happened to me before, where you are trying to get in a car, or you're tending to another child, or you're trying to put something in, and you might have to let that child's hand go for a second, and they're gone.
And you think they're not going to move. You told them not to move.
But they
hollered.
At 2 years old, I'm teaching my son that, I'm not teaching him, but you're going through the house, so you're talking to the kids, it's just me and him. So I say, and you take the clothes out off the floor, and you put them into the washing machine while the water's on. And then you reach for I turn around, he's drinking the detergent. So I scream, detergent is everywhere. I didn't think that he would reach up there and think that it was a cup of juice, Right.
You cannot.
You're such a bad parent.
I am a bad parent. I called the ambulance. I'm thinking y'all need more people. But they get there, and my son sits on the floor and says, "Do you know my daddy?" Embarrassing.
Oh, wow.
But it's totally impossible for we as parents, or people, period, to think about every little bitty thing that could go wrong in any given situation.
Because
it's impossible.
And we've tried, and it drives us crazy.
And that's why we're so stressed. That's why we overparent. That's why all these different things happen, because we're stressed over what people would think. And then what really set me off, and listen, world, I'm so sick of racial issues. I'm so sick of every single time something happens, we got to bring up race. It does not matter whether the child's black and white. Now, granted, I was surprised when they said the little boy was black. I was surprised.
Because not necessarily a race thing, but a cultural thing.
Yeah.
A cultural thing says Mama has a switch in her pocket, so I'm really not going to move.
Right.
Because as a cultural thing, black people tend to have a weapon.
But a lot of people, a lot of people think that with all of this backlash, and honestly, I do too. As with the backlash, that it's because the parents are black. Why I say that, there was an article put out about all of the different, this has happened numerous times before, as far as a child getting into an exhibit or falling into an exhibit or whatever. So there was an article put out about several different incidents where children fell into exhibits, and this is that I know of the first time that the child was an African American child.
Speak the truth.
And so, said African American, but so I'm gonna just run this down real quick. Last, and the child nor his parents were never identified. A leopard mauled a young child who scaled a fence at the Kansas Zoo, and not a single report mentioned the criminal history of anyone involved. Now they have the dad's criminal history out there. That they've looked into all this stuff.
Because they're investigating,
right? Basically trying to crucify them. And I don't even think he was there. I think it was just the mom. I don't think the dad was even there at the zoo.
It's just stupid.
So in 2014, 2 jaguars mauled a toddler who fell into the jaguar exhibit of the Little Rock Zoo. The child's identity, and this child died. The child's identity, nor the identity of the parents, nor the criminal history was never mentioned. So you have to wonder why all of a sudden.
You don't have to wonder.
It's a black family and a black child, now they want to crucify them.
I always say this. It's amazing how the smallest group makes the most noise.
Yeah.
And when Peter set out and had such an issue with this, now again, I'm not an animal lover. I don't like cats. I don't like it all. But I believe we shouldn't hurt animals. Okay.
Right.
So
I do
everybody
think
out there.
but
they had to do what they had to do. It is simply put like this. I understand that his life could have been avoided. I understand that. But nevertheless, a child was in there. So what do? Even if you shot a tranquilizer, it would have taken too long for him to come down. They did try to get him out of the cage.
Angry.
Right. They did try to get him out of the cage. They tried to the trainer did whatever they do to try to get him out, but he would not come. This is a life and death situation. Now, if the child had died,
then they will be saying, why didn't you shoot the gorilla?
I'm just tired. I don't want, to me, stop it. The parents, she is a mother, and if she was there by herself, I'm quite sure she has to deal with all of the frustrations, all of whatever you deal with as a parent when something tragic happens or about to happen to your child. So let's just leave them alone and let's pray for them. And I'm sorry that, what is the gorilla name? Harambe. Harambe, rest in peace. Everybody has sent your obituary all through Facebook, and I saw your praise team also. So rest in peace. But let's stop blaming the parents. Now, if you want to come in, it does. If you want to come in, you want to be a part of Come and Facebook, you can go to our page at Hearts and Heels #1, or you can go to Shay Melton Robinson and watch us live, or you can go to Periscope at Hearts and Heels #1. We'll be right back.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Hello. Hope everybody had a good day.
Yes. So, welcome to the conversation. Tell us what you think about Harambe. Harambe. Yes. I just think y'all need to let it go. Come on.
Alicia, you gotta come in closer. Your chair and everything
over here on the other one. Yeah, we have 3 cameras on us.
Y'all not listening.
Let it go.
Listen. Harambe had to get shot.
Period. Because if it was one of those people's children that have fallen in, I did. I'm talking about the people who have a problem, who want to crucify the parents. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. If it was one of their children, they wouldn't have cared if Harambe got shot.
No.
They would have been, it would have been an issue if he didn't get shot. So.
Everything in me makes me think that I would have had a one-on-one with Harambe. Had my children falling in this. You know what I'm saying? It was me and Harambe in the water.
And I think they have like 4 kids or something.
Yeah, they do. They have 4
so
kids.
So she was probably the other one.
One of the witnesses that was right there next to them. She said that she turned, you know, it was like a split second. She turned around to gather the kids up, like putting them back in stroller, you know, and just in that few seconds, he was in there.
You know, but by the grace of God, that's not me. You know, so in sort of looking at people with judgment, just think, but by the grace of God.
But those people will be judged.
It could have been
you know,
me.
You never know. You can't go through. You can't do that because you never know what's going to happen with you and your family. You know, you just never know. You can't judge people like that.
And I'm really upset that the government is actually doing an investigation.
Me too.
That makes no sense.
And I think the only
The
reason
federal
is because of the
government.
people.
Hold on. The federal government. So you using my tax-paying dollars
Right.
to investigate a parent who turned their head
For a
for a
second.
second.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, whatever.
And it could
I
have
can't
been,
do it.
anybody, you know.
I'm
so.
hot. I think it's
It's
all
crazy.
crazy.
It's absolutely. And do you know that they were saying? I read another article too, and I'll probably say this won't come back, but or maybe not. But in the few days, it was like 2 or 3 days that since he got shot, and those first few days afterward, they had 330,000 signatures. I think I told you this. Signatures for them to charge the parents.
No, I didn't know that.
330,000 people signed this online petition.
Who knew nothing about what
Yeah, for
happened.
them to charge the parents. And you know, when Tamir Rice got shot, the little 12-year-old boy who had a toy gun,
Mm-hmm.
over a 15-month span, they were trying to get signatures for people for them to charge the police officers 120,000 in 15 months.
And welcome back to Hearts and Heels. We continue this discussion because it's too much.
Arnisha made a great point about when we were talking about how race comes into play, and it's just so sad. You want to speak to your point about the petition?
Yeah, there was a petition. I'm pretty sure, as everyone knows, after the first few days, it went out after the gorilla Harambe was shot, and in those first 2 or 3 days after he was shot, there were over 330,000 signatures on an online petition for the parents to be charged with criminal neglect or whatever.
Not knowing exactly what happened.
Right, 330,000. And in comparison, when Tamir Rice was shot by the police, was that last year or the year
Yes,
before?
and he's a young man who was playing with
right.
a toy gun, and the police killed him.
Right, he was 12, a little African-American young man. And in 15 months, they put out a petition for the police officer to be charged. And in a 15-month span, they only had 120,000 signatures on the online petition, as opposed to 330,000 in 2 or 3 days.
In reference
When
to
Harambe got shot. Yeah.
Well,
That's sad.
Well, and it speaks to me. That speaks a little deeper. So we as African Americans can't stick up. We can't come together and sign a name on something that affects our race, our culture. But everybody who loves animals got together
Right.
and they signed petitions. So
Right.
where are we stepping up? That's why I said sometimes the people with the smallest voices, they get together and they cause the most commotion.
Mhm.
And that's what's happening in this situation. We have a group who love animals. Again, I'm not a lover of animals.
I mean,
but
they
I
have
feel
started
should
the
be
whole
respected.
faux trend.
Right.
Faux everything. You dare not even wear a real squirrel.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so,
That's true.
and now they say, oh, we need to charge these parents because they were not responsible. Again, it's too much. We all make mistakes. And when we, as people, start thinking about other people, that we make mistakes, other people are going to make mistakes, I'm quite sure if she could go back, she wouldn't even go to the zoo.
Mm. Yeah.
So now we're at the point where you are judging her. You are putting her family through this. She had to delete her Facebook. Her family is probably being harassed.
Right, and
Everything.
it leads to other things. I know this is not a show about race, but
Right.
it leads to other things. Back in the 80s, when crack was rampant in the African American community, the federal government put out a warning and had laws put into place because then it was a public safety issue. Now that the predominantly Caucasian community is addicted to heroin and oxycodone, the federal government has put out ramifications that you can be a heroin addict and come in and get arrested but not go to jail because you're a heroin addict. And it's public. And yes, you just go to rehab, no questions asked. And now the federal government says this heroin, that's how most people say it, the heroin epidemic is now a public safety. It's a public health issue. As opposed to in the 80s, when in the 90s, when African Americans were rampant with crack addiction, it was public safety. You've got to go to jail. Now that people who are in authorities, children have gotten addicted to this drug, it's now a public health issue.
Yeah.
So it always ties back in.
Yeah, I just think we got to get back to the core of, you know, who we are as humans, and stop thinking about, stop being so judgmental.
Who God has called us to be.
I mean,
about His grace.
We're supposed to be a people of love. God created us out of love. We're supposed to be a people of love, but we don't love. We judge, we hate, we want to condemn people. Why are we condemning a parent? A parent who just wanted to enjoy the zoo with her son, and his little bad tail climbed through the fence.
Yes, they'll do it every time.
It is what it is.
Very quickly.
I mean, and he's a boy.
Yeah.
Anybody that have boys understand that.
And he probably walked the fence before he fell over.
Right. And he probably, and I heard one report, he said, I'm going to climb in with the
And
gorillas.
she told him, no, you're not.
And no, you're not. So she did everything that she could as a parent to try to protect him. But him being a child is just like my son. He climbed on top. We have a treadmill, and the treadmill was sitting straight up. We had it folded up. He climbed on top of the treadmill and said, Mommy, look. I look over. He jumped from the top of the treadmill to the floor. And he landed on his feet. And I'm spanking him, no, don't do that. Well, a few minutes later, he did the same thing again because he's a child. They don't understand. They're not adults. As adults, we've experienced life, so we understand limitations.
Yeah.
We understand cautious. We understand boundaries.
They don't have a sense of danger at that age. They just absolutely don't. That's why they run in the street. That's why they climb into the gorilla pit. That's why they jump off of treadmill. They don't have a sense of danger. You know?
So we could fill a whole show on stories about what your child would do. Because my son said, Mommy, go to the bottom of the stairs. So I'm at the bottom of the stairs. He said, no, go outside, go outside. So I go outside. He says, look, I look upstairs. He's hanging halfway out of his window.
Oh, my goodness.
And he thinks it's cute. So in my mind, I'm thinking, do I freak out and
Right.
he thinks it's funny and he accidentally falls? Or do I let him fall and hope these bushes?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Right.
Because if I try to catch, so they do things like that. Now he
Yeah.
has locks on his window, so if there's a fire, he needs to just come out of his bedroom door.
That reminds me though, when you said what do you do? Do you get hysterical?
Right.
Do you stay calm? There's also backlash about how the mother wasn't hysterical or wasn't freaked out.
She didn't want to freak
because
the
she
gorilla
was
out.
Exactly. She stayed calm. She
I heard her
thought
say,
about
Mommy
it.
loves you. Mommy
And she
loves
told
you.
him to stay calm. She
And
said, stay calm, Isaiah.
She didn't want him, the
To freak
son, to get, agitated and frustrated. She was trying to keep him calm. But in the inside, she was dying.
And she was saying, Lord, if you would just please. That has a
Right.
protection. And I thought it was amazing how calm that baby was.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The gorilla grabbed him and
Was.
he said calm.
And he was still calm.
Because he probably
Even
thought,
after
Mama said,
that. Stay calm.
no, don't go in here.
Yeah, so I'm scared of Mom. He was
Yeah.
scared of Mom. But it just reminded me when I was listening to the story, I just started thanking God and praising God for the situation. And it reminded me of Daniel in the lion's den. When Daniel, when the lions came in, the lions would come, they were tamed, they were sitting down, and King was like, what in the world is going on? And that's what's happened in America. We're trying to figure out what's going on. But God was protecting that child.
Oh yeah.
And we as a people, and not just a black people, but
This
a
was a grateful
a
moment.
parent
The
people,
human race.
a parent people need to stand up
And be grateful.
and be grateful, but actually be behind these parents.
Right.
And we need to support them and say, look, we understand that you didn't do this intentionally. We understand this backlash that is happening, but we're going to cover you.
And
So-
we're going to pray that your
Yeah.
baby's mind doesn't run through nightmares,
Yeah.
or
Right.
your other children or people who saw that aren't
Right.
affected by it.
Right.
Because God did. He showed up in that situation.
Yeah.
He did.
Because it could have been me, it could have been you, it could have been anyone in that situation.
Right.
So we have to be careful not to put our mouths on what someone. Like when I see people and they're dressed crazy, of course my first thought is, oh my goodness, they don't ever need to do that again.
Right.
But then I also need to think about who taught them that that was okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you just
But
gotta
and then I say, thank you, Lord.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought about it too. I said, thank God, if he was going to fall in an exhibit, that it was the gorillas exhibit.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it could have been the tigers, the lions,
Yes.
you know.
Because those
and-
jaguars look at I tell my kids all the time, we're not going to see the jaguars because those are the only ones that walk back and
Aren't
forth
they
like,
scary?
got you
They
where I
really
want
are.
you.
What
Now
if,
I'm
what
gonna
if he
get
had
you.
fallen
They
where crocodiles were,
Yeah,
alligators,
you
you know?
never
So we're just grateful, and we're gonna move on. But
Yeah.
it's such a. I just want to compel every person out there that you just need to be in support of these parents. Pray for them, and not be judgmental, because you don't want anybody in your closet. There are plenty of skeletons. There are plenty of things that happen
Still
with
be
your
running down the
children.
street.
Yeah, that you wouldn't want anybody to judge you for. So let's not judge. Yes, she could have done something different. Yes, they could have. Everything could have been done, but it happened the way it happened, and we just gotta be
Baby is okay.
And
Yeah.
we're all in those situations,
Right.
you know, even like with single parents, they're in that
Right.
situation.
Right.
How did I get here? But we all know that a child is the glory of God, you know,
Right.
coming forth. So even in those situations, so half of the people who are probably putting their mouths on the parents and talking about them are single parents or have been in a situation where, I know someone's always said this, that everyone has a sin. You just can't see everyone else's,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So that just brings us to our next topic about, you know, single parents.
Yes, we're going to talk about single parenting and actually share an article with you about of something that happened just recently. So stay tuned. Make sure you listen in. Call us if you have any questions or comments. And make sure you check us out live on Facebook at Hearts and Heels, the number 1, or Periscope at Hearts and Heels, the number 1. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us, Janet Chappelle. I see you. And Michelle Offord, thank you for joining us.
Oh, okay.
Someone, Michelle Offord said, sad to say that animals are valued more than black lives.
You
Girl,
can see that.
I got good eyes, girl. I eat my carrots.
I had to get
That's
up.
right, Michelle. It is sad to say.
It is. And, you know, that's, yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Rod, for joining.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Hey, Janet.
Hi, Janet. Hi, Janet. Hi, Janet. Hi, Janet. It's just sad. Excuse my drive or ambition or frustration or
Passion. She's
That's it,
passionate about
passion.
that.
But I just want, you know, we gotta support our people. I'm just tired of these.
We have to be able to stand up and rise up against what's being said about us.
Just another thing. Let me tell you this, because I want to talk about this. But
Tell
we don't
it.
have time today. But the whole Elsa situation. Do you know they're trying to make
Elsa have a girlfriend.
Yes.
In the next.
Okay, and for those of you who don't know who Elsa is from Frozen. I know your kids. Yeah,
And Elsa is the queen of I was going to say the Frozen community, but whatever the place is. But they want Arendelle. Of Arendelle. She's the queen of Arendelle, and they want the queen of Arendelle to have a queenie
Yes.
with her.
And the LGBTQ community.
There's another letter.
Yeah. They petition, and Disney is actually thinking about this. And again, it goes back to the smallest group. They raise their voice. They come together. They raise the voice, and it goes back to the scripture. We are stronger together than we are apart. So we, as a people, have to get together. And it's not just if it's parents, parents come together. If it's Christians, Christians come together. If it's blacks, blacks come together. But we have got to raise our voice and stop letting it.
And make sure that if they do decide to have Elsa have a girlfriend, that we band together and we not give that show any money. Because what they're saying and they're conditioning our children to think that the way of God is not okay. And we need to realize and remember that the way of God is the only way. Now they're accepted, they're loved, we still show them love, but we don't promote what is against what's in the Bible, in the Bible. And we'll be back to Hearts and Heels in just a second, because we are off of our soapbox. And welcome back to Hearts and Heels. We have been talking so much about so many issues, one particular issue today, but we're moving on because we know you guys like to listen to us, and you guys are talking back to us in the radio and on Facebook. And we thank you for all you guys who've joined us on Facebook. Leave a question or a comment. We'd love to talk about it on our show. We know Michelle Offord said last segment that it's a shame that the rights of animals are loved over Black lives. And so that's a great point, Michelle Offord, and we thank you for making that.
Okay. Speaking of single parents and just young people parenting, there was a story recently in the news where, and I don't know if everybody has heard about this, but where a senior, a female girl, she was actually shot and killed. I think like the weekend before her, before her graduation.
7 days.
7 days before.
Yeah. And she was a senior in high school, and she was shot. She has an infant son who is about 1 year old, and the principal decided to let the baby walk across the stage with his grandmother. Of course, he's one, and present the baby with his mother's high school diploma
Because she earned it.
She earned it, and someone decided to take to Facebook and email the principal, actually not Facebook, but emailed the principal, and was opposed to the principal allowing the baby to receive the diploma. And I'm going to just read some of what this person wrote in the email. It says, the death of any young person is tragic, but to allow someone else to walk across the stage to accept her diploma is one thing, but then give it to her young infant is another. You're acknowledging and celebrating this young child whose mother was tragically killed when, in all fairness, probably should have been home taking care of that young infant who now has no mother and, quite frankly, don't know, this is what they wrote, don't know who the father is. Food for thought. That was the email
Judgment.
that was sent to the principal after the principal presented the diploma with the baby with the diploma.
Now that's sad. Now, okay, so that's really
Get yourself
sad.
together.
I know, because it's like so many things that I want to say about this situation. Just from that, because the principal did respond, so we're going to share some of her response. It was
We need to share all of it.
It was a really intelligent response.
Very.
So there's so many things, and this starts the discussion. This is gonna be a 2-week show, so we're gonna start today and talk about single parenting, and next week we'll have someone on, a counselor, who's gonna talk about single parenting, the effects, so everything about single parenting. So make sure you stay tuned with us.
What I love, before you read this letter, I love how she answered with a godly response.
Yes, she did.
I love the fact that she received that she took it in. But let me say this, we're back to the point of judgment. If you listen to that whole thing that young lady or male, whoever emailed, it was a whole point of judgment.
Yes.
About African Americans, because this student was African American. The fact that she had a baby out of wedlock, all of those things he or she made a point to bring out. So we're going to share with you a little bit of what she said.
Oh, they put me in check quickly about a little bit because I was prepared to read the whole thing. Let's start with stereotyping. It talks about stereotyping. It says it's ineffective use of propaganda that allows the person using the device to draw lines around groups of good and bad people. When you talk about people in the third person point of view, the attitude and culture of the inner city youth needs, you turn those people into objects, which can then strip them of human rights. Side note, I had my first college degree and had been married for some years before I had my daughter, and even I went out every now and then without my child. How is it that you know that my student was an irresponsible parent? And then she cites Deuteronomy 10:18.
Listen. And she put at the end, love it. Listen. We got to stop. Again, I'm back to this point of stereotyping and judgment. We are in a place of judgment. Yes, she was an inner city youth, but the inner city youth are plenty of other youth or teenagers around the world, suburban, trailer park, that get pregnant. I mean, I'm just being real.
Everybody, everywhere.
We got to stop saying it's just the inner city youth. Now, there is a problem. You hear that? I don't read that. There is a problem, but not all.
Yes.
Right.
She also says, just in case you didn't know, having a baby is not the sin.
Yes.
Premarital sex, if we're counting, is the actual sin. God loves babies. In fact, whenever there's a problem in the world, he sends a baby with an answer, i.e. Jesus. Because my student was such a great person, maybe God decided to use her as a conduit between her son and the world to provide an answer. That would help make sense of this, especially for me. Of all this foolishness. Side note, premarital sex may not be your sin, but it only takes one sin to send you to hell. And God never said that sin was only premarital sex, and he loves babies. And then she referenced Jeremiah 1:5 and Psalms 8:2.
Yes. Now, I definitely love her response. This is my only caveat to that sometimes we get so defensive of what we sin about that we say, oh, it's not the only sin. For example, I hate to bring this in, but homosexuality, whenever you talk to someone and you have a discussion with them, they say, oh, adultery is a sin, but you don't talk about that. Well, we're not in a discussion about adultery.
Right.
We're in a discussion about homosexuality. If you talk to a liar, they'll say, well, stealing something is sin. Well, we're not talking about stealing. We're talking about lying in this instance. So I just want to make sure, because at some points, I didn't want her to deflect from the fact that.
But we all are sinners saved by grace. So
Right.
I don't care if you're a homosexual. I don't care if you're a liar. I don't care if you're a thief. God has charged me to love you, so that because love covers a multitude of faults. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So when I sin, I'm gonna need you to cover me.
Right.
Period.
And
This is the last
prayers for.
That's
Right.
right. This is the last thing. It says, you have no idea how hard my student was working to overcome every single obstacle in her life. She worked a job every day. She kept her own baby. And in parentheses, we had to ask her if we could keep him. She played on the basketball team. She did well in all of her honors classes. She kept up with her younger siblings and made them come to school. And most importantly, she never missed one day of school. There are other issues that she had to deal with that I refuse to share. But just know that I know a whole slew of adults who would have been in an insane asylum if they had to live with 1/10 of her issues.
Yeah.
And she cites Matthew 12:36 and 37.
And I have to mention too, if you don't know the story, that she was actually out with friends. Mind you, she was a senior. She was about to graduate, so she was out with
Rightfully
friends.
so.
And someone drove by and shot into the crowd that she was in, and she was not the target. She just got hit by the bullet, unfortunately.
And that could have happened anywhere.
Yeah.
That could have happened at a movie theater in an affluent white community. That could have happened at a university when someone stood up on the tower and shot down. That could have happened anywhere.
Was that like higher learning? Did you just?
Higher Learning was based on a 1967 event that happened on a college
No, I'm
campus.
just saying. You just
And you
said
know
it.
that why?
Because I
Yeah.
just heard it on the news.
It's a real story, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. And just getting into this discussion about single parenting, the one thing that I did not like that she said about the young girl was that she needs to be at home with the baby. Again, I go back to this whole parenting thing. We all go
Need
out.
a break. Oh my
We
goodness.
all go out.
It's
And
hard being
no-
married and having kids.
I take a break in the bathroom.
But
Yes.
I do. I take it back in the bathroom.
But we can't. I think people want to punish people who are single parents
Yes.
just because you're a single parent,
Or a
just-
young single parent.
A young single parent, just because you're a young single parent. Yes, she was 18. Yes, she should not have been doing the things to get a child, but the child is here.
But that's
She
in
was
this time and
parenting.
age. A long time ago, you were 13, married off, and you had 15 children by the time you were 15. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
and they
true.
all worked the land, and they all made you rich, and they all brought in the harvest. But the day and time that we live in, I think that you should always just consult God about what's happening in your life, because there is a path for everyone to take, and sometimes, every time, because Romans 8:28 says He causes all things to work to our good. And what she brought forth might be the next president of the United States.
Yeah,
What she brought forth might be the cure to cancer, and he might need to matriculate through these years in order to get those answers to take him to his destiny. So don't discount what happens, because sometimes, most of the time, the sin is what brings the greatness. God will turn that thing around and make it great in your life.
And the part of the letter that really stood out to me, I think that bothered me the most, was when the person said,
We're fired up.
infant who has no mother and quite frankly don't know who the father is. That's that just really burned me up, as my daddy used to say. But
First,
the
there was
principal,
incorrect grammar.
right? The principal actually responded to that part also. So I wanted to read a little bit of that part, the response about the father. She said, for example, who told you that no one knew who the father is? Where were you when he couldn't stand under the grief on Sunday at the candlelight vigil? So,
I thought it was visual.
and it says, how surprised would you be to learn that both the paternal and maternal grandparents have been actively involved in this child's life since he arrived? So that goes back to the stereotyping, the judgment, the always thinking that, I'm sorry, but we as a black community, because she was
Right.
black, don't know who our baby's daddies are. That's just crazy.
I think they watch too much Maury, because I wish Maury would go off the air. And I wish people would stop going on there. Like,
Is he still
why?
on?
Yes, and they're still doing paternity tests. And people are on 16 and 17 men. If you don't know who your baby daddy is, just don't tell nobody. Just hold it to yourself, God. Nobody wants to know that
Or
you
stop
don't
making
know.
it up.
Falling all over the stage.
Right, you hollering and screaming. He looks just like him. Look at his nose. But every
Somebody's been watching Maury.
girl a long time ago. But every black person, every black female that has a baby out of wedlock doesn't necessarily have a strained relationship or don't know
Right.
who her baby daddy
Exactly.
is. And then you can't, again, I want to go back to, it's just not happening in the inner city.
No.
It's happening everywhere.
But sometimes they have the finances or are economically stable to say, Lord, forgive me. Never mind. I was going to say, this is my mother's child. Because, the Lifetime movie where the girl had the child and everybody thought it was her mother's child.
Yeah.
That it's based off of something. Or, they would send you away,
Right. Send you away. Or go ahead.
I was going to say, bottom line, it happens everywhere, all over the world, not just in our country and other countries. I mean, it happens. And that it's just about the judgment thing. People are always going to have something to say about everything, no matter what it is.
Yeah. And we can't do that because even with her being a single parent, that still does not take away the goals, the visions, and the dreams that God placed inside of her and where He wanted her to go and where He wanted her to be. So nonetheless, she was created. God allowed her to create. And she had a purpose and served a purpose. So we got to stop putting people down just because they're
Of their
single
circumstance.
parents.
Yeah.
So we got to be, again, go back to supporting. And again, I don't want anybody to think that we're saying go be a single parent, because I want y'all to stop. I want you to wait till you get married. I want you to, I wish
it's
that was
hard.
It
raising
is.
children.
It is hard. I grew up in a single parent home, and I was once a single parent, so I understand from both aspects. So it's not something that you want to do. If you're contemplating having children, don't until you get married.
And even
when you get married, it's still hard
It's very
to raise
hard.
kids. And let's just be realistic. Kids need both their mother and their father, because there are times in my marriage where I've had to be mother and father. There have been times when my husband had to be mother and father, because we both are being pulled in so many different ways. So as a single parent, you have to pull the weight all the time.
And it makes you angry.
Yeah, I'm angry when I have to pull the weight some of the time.
Yes.
You too.
So-
you get resentful.
Yeah,
you know?
you do. It's just because you think to yourself, wait a minute, it's two of us that
And
made
I always say, I conditioned my children that when you hear the key in the door, take off running.
Mom need a break. So we don't want to. We're not encouraging single parents, but what we're saying is those who are not single parents, never dealt with it, don't know anybody, don't judge them.
Don't
Help
put your
them.
mouth on it.
Help
Yes.
them.
Help them, pray for 'em.
Become a mother for the father who has his kids. Become a father for the mother who has those kids. Especially when mothers have boys and mothers have when mothers have daughters. They really need a male figure in their life. So step in there and help up. We as a nation can help each other. We go across the seas to help other people, but we won't help people right here in our own backyard. So let's help.
And let's stop judging judging them and thinking they have to pay a life of repentance for that one sin.
Yes.
Right.
Stop making them
Because
pay
they don't.
over and over and over
They
again.
absolutely don't.
And that's what it is. I'm
Condition them
gonna
to
say
feel
we.
guilty for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, like you committed a sin, so you're condemned forever. No. Where it says, therefore, there's no condemnation to those
You
who
are
are in Christ
forgiven,
Jesus.
redeemed.
You know, it's conviction. So once you have conviction, then you say, Lord, forgive me.
Yeah.
And then God forgives you, and then you move on.
Right.
And I pray right now for
Right.
every single parent who is listening, for someone who is not a single parent but knows a single parent. I pray right now that the condemnation in your mind is released.
Yes.
We bind up condemnation and we release the peace of God.
Yes.
We release the knowledge of God that restores you back to who He
Jesus.
is. That you know your place in God, that He will reveal your destiny in it, that you will walk in it. Not only will you walk in it, but you will show your children the right path to go to their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
We want right now that all condemnation be thrown back into the pits of hell. And everything that runs through your mind be the promises of God and the redemption of God. Amen?
Amen. Amen. On that prayer note, we're going to go to commercial. You're listening to Hearts and Heels. Stay with us.
That was good.
I told my sister, I said, how you did it?
That's hard.
I was drove tears to Augusta and knocked
You know.
Jessica, obedient, single parent or not, kids can get away from anyone in a split second. God is our children's ultimate protector. We are just inadequate even at our most vigilant.
Yes.
Thank you, Jessica.
Oh,
And Jessica
that's
has
good.
1, 2, 3, 4 babies. Jessica has 4 babies.
Ooh, with my
All right.
glasses on, I still
And Deborah
can't
goes,
read that.
girl, you
Deborah
see where I
Goshay
am.
says, great show.
How can you see that for real? But
Look,
anyway,
hold on.
she says, great show. Yes, I'm listening while I'm in Jamaica.
We got people all around the world
Keep it up,
listening
ladies.
to Hearts and Heels. That's my Hearts and Heels stance. Hearts and
Ocho
Heels.
Rios.
Yes,
Where them glasses
Jessica.
come from?
And a foster baby makes 5. Oh, she's a foster baby. You look so great. Yes, Jessica Beda is a parent of 4 babies and 1 foster baby.
Wow. Hey, and I'm with you, Jessica. I try not to be. My son told me, Mama, you going to get the worst mother award. I said, thank you.
My baby wrote me a note and left it on my pillow.
Thank you for inspiring me to be the worst. Okay.
Wayne said somebody pays attention in Bible study. Low. I do pay attention. Come to Bible study. It's called The Truth every Wednesday night
Awesome. It is
at
awesome.
True Worship Fellowship
You
Ministries.
will learn.
You
something.
will learn. You will learn that in order to lose something in your life, you've got to find something.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right.
Now, if you're watching on Shay Melton Robinson's page, I suggest that you go to Hearts and Heels because Shay Melton Robinson is getting ready to go. I have to go minister at a revival, so I am getting ready to, revival. So I'm getting ready to head out because I got to go to Prattville. So right after this commercial, I'm shooting up out of here, okay?
She
Okay.
has to take the devices with
So
her.
you'll be listening to 2 pigeons in a coop, just me and Arnisha.
Oh, y'all pigeons. Ooh, y'all pigeons.
Leave that one. Which one is that?
The iPad.
No, which Facebook?
Oh, that's me.
Okay. Well, we can bring that.
Okay.
We're going to send a shout out to Shay on the air. She's going to revival in Prattville.
Prattville, Alabama.
Prattville.
You got the
You
flyer.
say Prattville or Prattville?
Prattville. Prattville, Alabama.
What do you all say?
Prattville.
Prattville or Prattville? I don't know.
Prattville.
I don't know which one.
Pratt
is
Bull. It's not Pratt Bull.
correct.
Hey,
It's Prattville.
Oh, cute. Pull up the flyer really quick so I can say something about that because I don't know where it is.
Carter said, Mom, y'all gonna have to stop talking about the announcements at the time of announcement. It's real unprofessional. I said, Carter, some more. It does. It's just a,
You got it.
it looks unprofessional.
It's a weird. We're supposed to talk about it.
No, girl. It won't come up.
Did you send it to me by text?
No shame.
That's what I was
I'll
going
just
to.
talk about it. Just here it is right here, and it won't come up.
I shared it.
Let me mention this and that month run out of here. Let me welcome back as Arnisha.
I like
Reason.
the jingle.
Arnisha sings the jingle as we
We're
come
having
back.
fun
Oh
in the
my gosh.
studio.
So listen, I am getting ready to head out of the studio because I am headed to minister at the Awakening. It's a 3-city revival. We had a great time last night in Selma, Alabama. If you can, join us tonight. We're in Prattville at 1187 Upper Kingston Road at the United Christian Church, 7 o'clock. And we'll be at Impact Christian Church tomorrow night, Montgomery, Alabama at 7 p.m. So I'm out of here.
What's the Impact's address?
Well, I was going to go back over where she's going to be tonight for those who don't speed listen.
Oh.
She's going to be tonight at the United Christian Church. It's at 1187 Upper Kingston Road in Prattville, Alabama. Tomorrow night, she will be at Impact Christian Church. That's at 6825 Wells Ferry Drive. We would love to have you guys join us. Arnisha and I are going to head to Prattville after this, and then we're going to send you guys out on Friday to support all the beautiful women who will be at the Awakening with Minister Shay Robinson.
Hot lady.
Bye, First Lady.
Hot lady. Bye. Bye. Love you guys.
Okay, so we're keeping it going, and we're going to send her out the door. But like we were saying about single parents, we're going to go on with our agenda. We feel so naked without you. So naked without you. We have a great song that we're going to play for you guys today, and it's by Jessica Reedy. I love everything Jessica Reedy, but the name of this song is Grace. So we're going to listen to what she has to say about grace, and we want you guys to listen to the words and let it minister to your heart. This is Jessica Reedy, Grace. We're going to play it in just a minute. Lady Shay had to say something else, but we told her she could not come back in here and talk. We want to have everybody who has been listening on Facebook and watching on Facebook Live to continue making comments. What we're going to do is start sharing those comments throughout the show to bring our Facebook Live page in with our scope who's on Facebook Live and listening at 90.7 FM. And please remember, you can always listen in on the TuneIn app. And now we're going to go to Jessica Reedy. This is Grace. You gotta turn it up some more. You gotta turn it up some more, Chris.
It's so far away.
Put your headset by it. On the inside. You have to listen because Jessica Reedy has a very deep voice. by Jessica Reedy. I love how she says, your love makes me do right.
I was just thinking that same thing because that is so true.
When we're condemned and when we're feeling those ways and we're guilty about what's going on in our lives, God, your love comes in and just makes us do right.
Yes.
I know when I'm on my job or I'm out in public or something happens and it causes me to want to act the old way before the Lord changed me, his love comes in and it makes me do right. It makes me not want to say, she said in there, everything that I used to say, I don't want to say.
Yeah.
Everything that I used to do, I don't want to do, because I know that not only can we cause generational curses, but we have generational blessings.
Yes.
And I want my children to have everything that God said was theirs. And I don't want it to be because of what Mia did, but I want it to be because of what I stood for,
Yes.
that they get everything that God has for them.
Absolutely. It's really amazing how when you truly do turn your life over to God, your thought process changes. I mean, it's everything.
Mhm.
It just changes. I mean, your desires change.
When you become more like him, the love just floods you.
It truly does change, and all you have to do is just ask.
Just ask. Those
and
who
walk in it.
want knowledge and wisdom,
Yes.
God says just ask
Just
for it.
ask.
Ask him to come into your heart. And that's what we pray for everyone that listens to Hearts and Heals and watches us on all of our live feeds. We pray that what we say causes you to want to know more about
Yes.
God. And if you already know a lot about God, it causes you to want to walk in his ways. We don't know everything. We have opinions just like the next person,
Exactly.
but we know that there is no judgment. In this Hearts and Heals studio, there is no judgment. Because we know that God can do anything he can use. If he can make a rock cry out, surely he can make a difference in your life and in your soul.
And we haven't always been like this. You know what I mean? We haven't. And we've known each other for a very long time, all three of us. So we've known each other when we weren't, not saying we haven't always been Christians, we have, but
we've known each other long enough to know when you would call, not say, do you want to go get some eggs? Yeah, we've known each other that long. But when a change comes.
Yes, Lord. But so God is here for all of us. He is here just waiting on us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's here for. He's waiting on you. You know what I mean? To just ask.
And to usher in his presence. And that's what we do every week at True Worship Fellowship Ministries. I'm so glad to be connected with a church that is just Bible-based. Everything,
Yes.
There's nothing off limit in the Bible because everything in God's word is true. And Pastor Rod teaches us that everything that God said is true. Everything that he said you can have, you can have. Everything that he said is condemnation, but know that Jesus came to restore us from that and that we're all right with God when we accept him.
Yes.
And I love that. So join us every Sunday at 11 o'clock at True Worship Fellowship Ministries. You can join us on Wednesday nights at True Worship for the Truth at 7 p.m. And we just love you guys. And we'll be back next week. The same station, same time, but definitely not the same way. Because it only gets better, right, Arnisha?
That's right.
Now, we're headed to the Awakening in Prattville. You make sure you join First Lady at Impact Church on tomorrow on Wells Ferry Drive at 7 p.m. And we'll be back next week. From all of us here, we hope you're blessed from your heart to your heels. Stay
Enjoy
blessed.
the rest of your evening.
That's right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I hope.
You know, they can't hear you right. I'm just playing.
Girl, I was about to go crazy because I don't want them to hear me. Thank you guys for joining us on our live feeds. We love you guys for joining us. We hope you guys got something from it. We just want you to know Jesus.
Yes. Awesome experience, you guys.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Michelle Offer. Awesome
Thank you,
job.
guys.
Thank you. Great show. Wonderful conversations. We
Hey,
love
Chad.
you, Michelle. Chad,
yeah, he just joined.
hey, Chad. Join us, Chad, at 6 next time.
6 o'clock, Chad. 6 o'clock.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.